Hey guys, this is Steve Simpson with Central Florida Property Management. Hope everyone's doing well. As you guys know, we made a couple of videos recently about the kind of changing market conditions and why we think getting your property to market value as quickly as possible makes the most financial sense. So what we're going to talk about today is basically what is market value? Kind of a ambiguous question, but a really important one. So market value basically is what someone, the average person is willing to pay to rent your property. So the way we estimate market value is basically by doing a comparative analysis of properties similar to the property we're evaluating that recently rented. So we'll find properties hopefully in the same neighborhood, if not very close to the same neighborhood as the property that we're comping. And we'll want properties that are similar in type, so a townhome for a townhome, condo for a condo, home for home, size to square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, how nice it is or upgraded, amenities, stuff like that. We want to get as close to the subject property as possible, and then try to adjust for differences, right? So if one property has a pool, other one doesn't, everything else is equal, you kind of adjust for that. And then once we find those similar properties, we want to look for what they rented for and how long it took them to rent. The how long it took them to rent is a very important part of this. Generally is considered a healthy rental if it rents within 2 to 4 weeks. If the property rents within 5 days, it was probably underpriced. If it rents within 2 months, takes 2 months to rent, it was probably overpriced. So the property was probably actually worth less than what it rented for. It just took a long time to rent. And oftentimes actually what you'll see is that, because we can see the history of the pricing of the property. So we can see, okay, it was listed for X, and when they dropped it to a lower amount, it rented in 2 weeks, which basically shows that that was the actual amount the property was worth. This is helpful because obviously it gives you a good starting place to know what the property is going to rent for. It gives you an idea of what to list it for. But it's also not 100% accurate because obviously market conditions can change. Property rentals are very seasonal. Competition can come on, all sorts of stuff. So in my opinion, honestly, a better way to kind of evaluate market value is to do so in real time. So this kind of brings me to our marketing process. So we market almost exclusively online. The reason we do that is because most tenants find rental properties online. Last I checked, it was like 95% of people find their property online. Of those, like another 90 or 95% of them basically find the property on one of the major rental websites. Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, HotPads, Apartments.com, Homes.com, all the kind of national big boy rental websites. The vast majority of people will find their properties on those websites. So what we do is we make sure we advertise on all those sites, and then at least once a week we have one of our staff who literally will go on those sites, find all of our properties. They will use the feature to basically request information about those properties. We make sure we get the email, if it's through email. They will call on those properties. We make sure we get the phone call so it's on, so we know the phone number is working. We basically are making sure that the properties are listed everywhere that people might see them, and that if someone's interested in one and they want to contact us about it, that we actually get that contact. So, we basically know that we're casting a wide as net as possible and that we're receiving interest from people interested in that. And we use the information in terms of numbers of people inquiring about that property to ascertain interest in the property, which in a way is ascertaining market value. So these are kind of extreme examples, but like if you had a property for rent at $1, you're going to get 1 million calls because everyone wants to rent that property. If you had a property for rent at $1 million, you're probably not going to get any calls because no one's paying $1 million a month to rent the property, right? So obviously the price that you're paying is very, very important. And you'd be amazed by how much the interest level changes based on adjusting the price. And it kind of scales with the type of property and the starting price of the property. But just like, for example, property rents for $1,000 a month, you'd be amazed by the change you get in interest from going from $1,000 to $950 versus just staying at $1,000. If you just stay the property at $1,000, maybe you get 3 inquiries a week. You get a $950, you might get 3 inquiries a day. It can be very, very dramatic. So we have a pretty good idea just from doing this a while based on seasonality, the type of property it is, where it's located, the price. We have a pretty good idea of how much interest we should be getting on a daily or weekly basis for each property to basically know that the property is listed at market value. I always say renting is kind of like fishing. You put your bait out and see what bites and change your bait if it's not. And the price is pretty much the bait, right? So we want to have the property generating enough interest to where we can find a quality tenant that's going to be a good tenant in your property. So taking these market feedback conditions into account in terms of what the market value of your property is very, very important. As we point out in the video about the financial benefit of getting your property priced right as soon as possible, the way we kind of do that, the way we find that price is by watching the market conditions. So I know that's kind of I don't want to say obscure, and it's almost like a not hard and fast way to kind of look at things, but especially in today's day and age, in this market, when the market's changing very, very quickly, monitoring how much interest you're getting in a property is the most accurate kind of quote unquote real-time way to know the value. And that can change for a variety of reasons, whether it's seasonally. As most of you guys know, the real estate market peaks in the summer and it's the lowest in the winter, for the most part. In some sub-markets, that's not true. Competition, right? So a property that has no competition within a mile radius is going to be different than a property that has 15 similar units in the same neighborhood for rent, right? And that could change year over year. One year you rent it, you've got no competition. The next year you rent it, you've got a lot of competition. That's going to impact your rental rate, which will be reflected in that real-time data. So just watching that data and adjusting to get the right amount of interest, which tells you it's at market value, is very, very critical to what we're trying to do and how we're trying to help you guys get your property at market value as soon as possible. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little bit, I don't know, kind of a theory and pie in the sky, whatever you want to call it, but that's the way we kind of see things, and it's really helped us to keep our vacancies low throughout these years and help our clients make as much money as possible. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'd love to talk about this, and hope you guys are doing great. Thanks.